Welcome to the Rise Network podcast show, a podcast dedicated to help you reach your dream lifestyle through investing in real estate. We're going to be sitting down with new, intermediate, and experienced investors to talk all about real estate and how it has changed their lives. If you're looking to scale your portfolio or even just get into real estate investing, you're in the right place. Make sure to tune in. Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Rise Real Estate Investing Podcast with your host, Austin Ye and
Mayu. What's going on, everybody?
Let's take the time to apologize first of our late release of last week's podcast. And I would like to say it won't happen again, but I'm a man that doesn't make promises. You know,
it's likely to happen again, guys.
It's likely to happen, but we'll try to space it out. You know, maybe like once a year.
What?
I don't know. Maybe once a year it'll happen.
Dude, we messed up like 1 month ago. So,
we did mess up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to give our VA access to Podbean, which is
because right now Maya and I are still uploading it. And times we get like super busy, right? But enough excuses. Maya, what's going on, man? How's life been? Like, what is your schedule nowadays? Because you have a lot going on, right?
Yeah, I'd say Mondays are terrible days. And I feel like
that, like meetings.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to have the same experience. You must be, because I think that on the weekend, I mean, maybe you're not doing any work on the weekend. So that's what I strive to get to. But on the weekend, I'll do some stuff, because the banks aren't open on the weekend. So whatever I do on the weekend is really just prep for Monday. But then no matter what, on Monday, there's certain things that you have to do, right? So that's unavoidable. And then on top of that, anyone that kind of reaches out and buys a house on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they all kind of book an appointment for Monday to like have a mortgage call, right? And so new applications on Mondays, and honestly, it's just the mortgage world super busy on Mondays. And then the way I've structured a lot of my coaching is super busy on Wednesdays, which kind of leaves the days in between there as like kind of fillers, right? Like Tuesday could be mortgages or coaching, Thursdays could be mortgages or coaching, Fridays I like to take it slow, just kind of half take it off. But this weekend, man, super nice. I didn't really do much work this weekend. It was more so
you're at a wedding. I saw you do your little dance.
Oh yeah, I did post a picture on my story, right?
No, your wife put a video of you doing a little dance.
Oh yeah.
That's how drunk you were. You didn't even remember, eh?
It was a rough night on Saturday.
That's funny. And Sunday morning, I'd bet.
Yeah.
Nice. So like, just out of curiosity, man, on the mortgage side, like, are you calling like the banks and stuff and appraisers, this and that?
We need to schedule and coordinate with the appraisers. We just need to like talk with the underwriters to get like, it's just a lot of my time is more so spent with the client, collecting the documents. And once we get everything from the documents on the client side, like you send it off to the bank. You just have to underwrite in a way that it's gonna approve and it's gonna be passing, right? If something's tight and the ratios are tough, that makes it super tough. But it's also on the bank side, even with the appraisers, like their order of priorities is just like refinances at the bottom, purchases at the top, rental property purchases second to primary residence purchases, right? So there's like a weird like hierarchy, I'd say. But for the most part, the banks aren't that bad now. It's honestly still the appraisers that are still pretty bad, but they're improving. So I think we're getting there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then aside from that, I think I talked about mortgages last time too. The Chelsea flip, man. I don't know if I talked about this last time, but
did you say you closed this? And is this the one that you closed in cash? No.
Yeah, we closed in cash. Yeah, June 30th. And our junk removal bill, man, I kid you not, we're probably at like $7-8 in junk removal.
Holy shit.
There was that's
a lot.
This is like definitely the highest junk removal bill and we've probably gone through like 6 or 8 bins. And then like there was still a basement full of junk. So then like our contractor was just like, I'm not touching that. I'm not going in the basement. Like there's something living down there. Like I'm not going there.
There's someone actually living there?
No. He's like, there's probably like some like animals like living down there. He's like, dude, you can't pay me enough to do this. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll go down there and slum it out and do it myself. And then luckily I found like a junk removal company would like just go in there and do it. But like they wanted $3,000 just for the basement. Right. So it's like,
so now it's 11. It's double. It's like 5 figures for junk removal.
I think we're gonna end up at $8,000 in total, which is like pretty close to 5 figures. We budgeted, I think, like 3,000 or 4,000, right? Which is like still like a pretty nice budget for junk removal and that. But like there was an entire room that like we just didn't factor in and stuff like that. So lesson is just that shit will happen in renovations, and if you don't build it in adequate buffers, you will get fucked.
And especially like right off the bat. Yeah, I mean, like just speaking on that, I guess that's what we could talk a bit on the preamble. Shit does happen, right? Like when I was budgeting things out for one of our flips, there's an unexpected cost of the kitchen is actually going to be delayed 5 weeks. Originally, the contractor said that, like no issues, no worries, right? Like things should be good. Like our timeline to be in and out this flip is 6 weeks. But now you tag another 5 weeks on top of that because you got to order the materials for the kitchen. And realistically, that's honestly an expectation. Kitchens don't come in a week. Like even if you order from IKEA, it takes a couple of weeks, right? And just think about that. 5 weeks, our holding cost is about $7,000 a month because it's like an expensive flip. $7,000 a month holding cost, boom. Right there, we're already paying an additional $7,000 in cost. And
what are you guys going to do then?
There's nothing much that we can do. We need to wait for the kitchen, right? Because the thing is, like, even if we explore, here's the tough part is, this is the predicament. If we explore other suppliers, it's going to take us, let's say, a week to find another supplier. And then let's say they say 5 weeks as well. Then what?
Or at least even if it's 3 weeks, you're back where you started. Right?
Yeah, I spent another $1,000. Like the opportunity cost is too high. Every week I put it off, it's $1,000 plus.
Did you try offering the kitchen supplier like an extra like $1,000, $2,000 and saying just like move this shit along?
Yeah, they can't, right? Like it's just the reality of it. I would
kitchen
definitely.
Suppliers majority of them are just like wholesalers in the sense that they have like suppliers like from like out of country or whatever that really make this stuff for them, and these are just a middleman making a quick margin, right?
Exactly. So like you always got a buffer for more, right? Like those holding costs are adding up. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it starts touching $10,000 in holding costs, but it is what it is, right?
I was trying to explain this to someone else as well. I'm like, honestly, like it's the small things that like it doesn't really matter. Really, the biggest thing I think in a flip is just time, right? Like
time is expensive.
I offered my contractor's quote for the Chelsea house came in. I think it was at like 17 grand or something, right? And I was like, dude, what if I give you an extra 2 grand? Can you just bring one extra person and like move this along faster? Because like the opportunity cost, like A, if you have private money that is interest on that, B, it's also if I can just recycle my capital through one more deal this year, right? Like my profit is gonna be way higher, right? So I'm more than happy to give that guy like an extra $2,000. So
time is of the essence when you start turning around a ton of deals. And speaking of time, I guess this is not the best kind of transition, but we have some very special guests on here today who was able to build a large portfolio in a short amount of time, right? Because you like how I did that. But we have, that's such a lame joke, but we have Ishan and Sid Khobare on the podcast today. Ishan and Sid, you guys probably heard of them. They're in the Rise Facebook community. They host the networking events, and they're going to be hosting the future in-person networking events as well. They're super active on social media. But aside from building their brand and their credibility, on top of that, on the investing side, they are wholesaling nowadays, buying multifamily properties. They got a deal that is making me and Mayu jealous, right? And we're going to get into those numbers in this podcast as well. And then they also talk about their humble beginnings. They have a unique story when they went from riches to rags, not rags to riches to rags, and they're trying to get back to the riches. So you're going to enjoy this podcast for sure. It's a great episode, a lot to learn from it, a lot of golden nuggets. Hope you guys enjoy. Before we get into it, I just remembered, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to support this podcast. Me and Maya are trying to get to 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts before the end of the year. So let's see if you guys can help us with that. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Today we are joined with our very special guests, Sid and Ishan Khobare, aka the Khobare brothers, aka Khobare Capital. How are you guys?
So we are doing amazing. This is Ishan here. We're really grateful to be on this podcast and share our journey. So thank you, Austin and Mayu, for having us on your podcast. And you guys are doing fantastic things to share a lot of knowledge, and that too for like not some monetary value, and give value to people for free so that they can actually grow. Thank you so much. We are truly honored on this podcast to contribute from our part as much as we can. And we have Sid as well with me.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us here. I hope a lot of investors who are just starting their journey get a lot of golden nuggets, get a lot of value from this podcast just by sharing our journey and our highs and lows.
Awesome, guys. So I think myself and Austin, we know you guys pretty well. I met you guys back at a recruiting event. What is it? Pre-COVID, maybe like 6 or 7 months before that. You guys are just getting started, but you guys have done a lot since then. But for our audience, and I mean, we'll talk about this in the preamble as well, but you guys are also involved in the Rise group, the Rise community, where you host online kind of networking events, eventually those becoming like in-person networking events as well, right? So for the audience, anyone that doesn't know you, which might be pretty hard because you guys are out there networking with everyone and taking everyone's phone calls and just grinding away. But why don't you just give everyone a quick kind of background on yourselves, right? So how did you guys get started in real estate? What do you guys do now, and so on?
Yeah, just as a backstory of where we came from. Like we were born in a filthy rich family. Like when we were growing up, we had literally everything. Like, and then like throughout our time in India, we suddenly went from having everything to not even having food on an auspicious occasion like Diwali. So like kids are bursting crackers. I am like, okay, where's my crackers? But there's no money to eat food, so forget crackers. So we saw the highs and the lows, and then we did our engineering, and Ishan worked a year in India, and then we were like, okay, we need to go abroad and like get a better life. So we come abroad. We started our masters in Windsor. So we did a couple years of masters in electronics and computer science. And then after that, we moved to Toronto because that's where all the jobs are. So we got a stable job. We have like $40,000 of student loan, which we are like constantly paying off. So we are like, okay, have a stable job. Now that was the next challenge for us, to pay off the student loan. Now we have like gone through most of the student loan, or we have finished the student loan. And then we are like, what is the next challenge in life? Now I have a stable job. Now I have a stable income coming in. I'm living in Toronto, enjoying the life. There was no challenge in life. After that, we actually went to Euro trip and blew just $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per head. And then we came back broke. And then Ishan slowly started exploring the investing side.
Yeah, that's how I got introduced to investment aspect, when I saw a couple of folks like Mr. Matt McKeever and Mike Rosehart, and all these gentlemen just working from ground up and having financial freedom and setting the role model and exemplary example of this can be done, right? And if those guys can do it, how much hard work and grit does it take to achieve that? So started exploring, reading books, connecting with people. That's how I got to know Austin, gradually Mayu as well, and network with as many people as we could. So we basically like started meeting people, understanding the market, and that's how we kind of started into real estate investing.
So like September 2019, we came back from our Euro trip, and then Sean slowly got into it. And one day Sean was like, hey, after work, we are going to London for Andrea. And then he pulled me, and I'm like, okay, why not? Yeah. And that day, I think Kellen was the one who was presenting, and he just blew my mind away. There was a switch deep down in my brain, and he just flipped the switch. And then I was like, all this is possible. And I thought it's like, they're just saying things, it's not doable. And then we are like, okay, we slowly got into it. So the important thing that we did was we did our homework very well. We researched the markets we want to invest in. We knew that Toronto was a heavy market, expensive market for us to get into. We did our research. Windsor felt comfortable because we had spent 2 years in Windsor. So we knew the streets, we knew the ins and outs, and we know a lot of people in Windsor, which could have made investing easy for us, even though we were living in Toronto. So I think April 2020 was the time when we bought our first property.
Yeah. So I would like to give an idea how we started first. Now, after Sid has told you already that we have lost a lot of money in the trip and the journey, and now we're trying to explore how to get into real estate. We know the market. We know a lot of people over there. So how do you get the funds? The funds were there in our RRSP, which was not even down payment for 5% down in Windsor. So what do you do? First thing.
So what was that? Just to give some perspective, yeah. 2019, was that like 10, 15K?
Yeah, that was exactly 12,000 some change dollars in my RSP account.
In each of yours?
In each of ours.
I think I had 12, he had 13, he had a couple grand more.
And you guys are renting on top of that. So you need some money to obviously pay for like your living expenses too. Yeah.
And that too in Toronto. So
yeah,
you know how much you price. So yeah, man. So we just started with 12 grand, and I had 12 grand of RSP. So if I wanted to buy a house, say for $300,000 or $400,000, I would at least require 5%. That's $20,000 plus some change for closing costs. So let's take 20,000 ballpark. So I only have 12. How do I go about buying a house while trying to pay student loan and living in Toronto? What we did is we encountered this idea of having to get lines of credit from banks, because we had really decent, good jobs, right? We had like pretty decent jobs, and we are like, banks loved us in that prospects. Like, so we went in 1 month, we tapped all the lines of credit possible with every bank. I had about 122, somewhere around that region, 120K of line of credit. So I have a big box where there's like 120K, but cash, I have 12K. But my mind is thinking, how can I leverage that? So I had a lot of money at say 5, 8, 6, 3% also. So I leveraged that money and I used that money to buy our first property. And to buy the first property also, sorry.
So I'm going to stop you right there. And because like that was a very important thing and I just don't want to gloss over it. So you had 12K saved. That wasn't enough to buy a property. So you started leveraging other people's money, which is the bank, because the bank generally is going to give the cheapest interest rate versus like a person lending the money out. So when you said you got a 0K line of credit up to 122K, how did you do that? Was that from one bank? Like what, like walk me through the process really quickly of how you got over 6 figures in lines of credit.
So like, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Austin because he was kind of mentoring us in the beginning of our journey. So he's like, okay, this is the first step that we need to do. So I think this was December of 2019 when it's starting to snow and we are just like, it's vacation time, everyone's spending time with family. And we are like, okay, we are going one bank after the other in a span of a week. And we are just like trying to get lines of credit from everyone. And then National Bank gives line of credit at prime plus 0.25. So Ishan got 50 from there. I got maybe 38. And then in the same week, we hit up Scotia, RBC, all the banks that we deal with. So he secured $130,000, I think 120 to 30. Yeah. I secured 80 to 90. In total, we had a little more than $200,000.
Yeah. So your buying power went from 12K to almost $250,000, right? Just by doing something in a week, right? Yeah. So anyone can do that. Sorry, continue going forward with that. You were looking into buying your first property in Windsor?
Yeah. So now we're trying to buy our first property. Now, when you go to buy your first property, what's the first hindrance that happens? You got to first understand the mortgage capacity. What's your mortgage capacity? After getting your mortgage capacity and approval, now you try to look for properties. The second hindrance is getting outbid by people who have big chunks of money who don't even care about mortgage. They have like a briefcase and they just throw it on the person's face and they just buy it. So now competing with like these people, how do you try to navigate and buy property? Because you have to make sure one thing, you have to make equity on the buy. If you don't make equity on the buy, then you're not an investor or not on the way to grow as you would supposed to, right? So we started bidding, getting outbid, and then we gradually understood, okay, this market, what's the price per unit? Like what's the size of the house? So getting that holistic idea of like how much the price is going for, gradually we start tapping into wholesaling, which was like a foreign concept for us. And then gradually we understood, okay, wholesaling is somewhere we can get the property for cheap, have some equity on the buy. So Sid actually found a property that was actually Austin's wholesale. And then we gradually saw that, okay, there is enough meat on the bone. And from mortgage perspective, I'm not going overboard. So my mortgage guy is like, okay, you can get this one. It's within your limits. So now the two hindrances are done. Now I have to see and understand if the numbers work and whatnot. But I don't have time to do all that because a wholesale deal, speed is of the essence. You've got to tap on the thing like as soon as you get it, right? So I saw the numbers. I had the familiarity of the area and the market. I didn't even see the house. I just got the deal and we took it on from there.
And that was our first purchase. We just saw the numbers. We had a video walkthrough and we knew that we could make it work because we were looking for something similar in the neighborhood and we were getting outbid. So we didn't even bother to see because it's like the numbers were good and we trusted Austin. So it just worked wonders for us.
So what sort of renos did you do with that property? You just kind of bought it, rented out as is? Like what was going through your head when you were picking that up?
So what happened was it was a luxury house, like it got nice spotlights, newly painted and flooring and all that fun stuff, right? And it was in the South Windsor neighborhood, so which was family friendly, nice neighborhood. So we were just thinking, okay, we can make a luxury student rental model or luxury rental model where single professionals like me can stay over and they don't need no drama, but they're willing to pay the maximum price and they're just like, relaxed until they go and buy their own house. So we emphasized on having a place where we can maintain this concept where the person needs to pay the maximum buck and I can make a lot of cash flow by house hacking. So there were basically six rooms. Yeah, there were six rooms, right? And then there was a den area and COVID happened. I moved from Toronto over there and I was like, okay, there's no point of living in Toronto. So I moved over there and I'm like looking at this den area and I'm like, we can make a room over here. So we made another room. So we rented 6 rooms and I was living in one of the rooms, and each room got me like average $600. So that's 600 into 6 rooms. That's 3,600, give or take. And my mortgage was 1,600. So 1,600 is gone out of 3,600. So $2,000 is what I'm getting. So if I take utility and all these bills, remember, there's not going to be any renovations to be done because it was newly renovated. So from that perspective, the capex was under control. So I did not have any unexpected renovations or big ticket items. So from that perspective, I used to make like $2,000 if I remove $1,000 also for utilities, which is good enough. I have $1,000 cash flow, right? So I was making like $1,000 cash flow somewhere around that region.
And you bought that property with a 5% down approach, right? Like where it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So your cash on cash return would be pretty great.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So I bought this property for $20,000 down payment, and I'm making $3,600 every month. Multiply by 6 months, I have my money out of down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how a creative deal can be.
So we had to pay like 20,000 deposit, like down payment and some closing cost, and then we had to pay $10,000 wholesale fees. So we were somewhere in 32-ish range. And what happened here was like Ishan had 13-ish in his RRSP. I had 12, 13 in my RRSP, and all of our money is gone on our first house.
Okay, so all that money's gone in your first house, and like just out of curiosity, you bought this in 2019, right? You did a bit of work to it. You bought it for like $380K or whatever. Have you refied it to? I know you did a lot of future purchases, which we're going to get into. You got some equity gain on that. Did you decide to refi it? Like, what have you done with this property since? Because is it still your primary residence? What's going on there?
So it's not a primary residence, just a small correction. We started our investment journey in 2020 in April, first property, and then we'll get to the second in May, which we'll come to next. But April 2020, this was purchased. And by May, we had started the renovations and built the room over there. And fast forward, right now, we are in 2021, somewhere around June, July, right? So I've sold that property and I've made $145,000 to $150,000 profit, no capital gains, no problem whatsoever. So having to get into a property where I invested $30,000, out of which my money was 12, right? Making a cash flow of $2,000 every month, $1,000 after utilities, conservatively. And after 1 year, it gives me $150,000 check. So I don't know.
Man, like honestly, like that sounds better than some of my best deals. You know, like 5% down. Of that 5% down, like still a considerable amount was leveraged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn.
Like half of that amount was literally leveraged, right? I got a gift letter from Sid, and Sid got it from line of credit. Thank you to these banks.
2.5% down, basically. Amazing.
But you guys also bought the perfect type of property to buy with that 5% down levered approach.
Absolutely. Yes.
Buy something that's turnkey, because it doesn't make sense to go 5% down, pay CMHC premium, and then spend $50,000 in renovations. You might as well just put 20% down, right? So what you guys did is actually the approach that makes the most sense. And Ishan was in a good position with work where you had the ability to say, I'm going to live in Windsor, but I'll still be employed with my employer, right? So not everyone's in that situation, but you guys took advantage of your situation. I think knowing you guys personally, that's what led to property number 2 with Sid.
Okay, so now you guys move forward to wanting to buy a primary residence for Sid because, of course, you're still limited on down payment money, but you still want to get into the market. And tell me what you were looking for in that second property.
So to be honest, like we are buying properties, like one on Ishan's name, one on my name, but we want to diversify our portfolio. So we have played the cash flow game in Windsor where we're getting $1,000. So we weren't too much fixated on getting too much cash flow from this. This is more like an appreciation play. With cash flow, because we are investors, we're like, okay, we need to add some value, either add another unit or have the height, the separate entrance, the windows and everything to add a unit in the future when I get money. So we were like hunting properties. We actually did bid on more than a few properties and we didn't get anywhere. But then this property came on the market, which was a divorce sale. So it just came on the market for 24 hours. I closed on this in May. So I think a month or a month and a half before May,
2020, right? Not 2021.
2020, everything COVID, everything is COVID. We're just going around with masks and everything. So my realtor calls me up at 6 p.m. and he's like, you would want to see this, come down. And I'm there at 7:30. We check out the property and the guy is looking at offers next day at 12. So when I come in the neighborhood, I am looking at literal glass mansions, which is sitting on a property which is overlooking the river. So I mean, like, even though this is Cambridge, I would say this is easily $4 million or more. And I see like custom built houses, which you see in Toronto, right next to my house, which is almost $1 million. And everything, I speak to the neighbors and they tell me that they've been living here since 20 years. So I'm like, okay, people who move here don't move out, which means it's amazing. And then my realtor tells me only 3% of the properties in this pocket comes on the market. So I'm like, that kind of tells me that appreciation play in this area would be good. So my house was apparently the cheapest and the smallest house in the neighborhood. So every other house is at least $1 million. My house is the smallest and cheapest, but my house has 2 units.
Yeah.
So it already had a legal secondary dwelling unit. So I'm like, okay, this is wonderful. We just have to cosmetically update this. Yeah. But everything else is beautiful because in terms of the bank, I have 2 units, I have legal income coming in. So one is appreciation play and Ishan's property was more like a cash flow pay. So we're like, okay, let's pick this up. So my max offer was roughly 430-ish, max 430. But that was until like 2 hours before putting in an offer. And then we realized, bro, we cannot let this go because this is such a good deal. So we paid like 442, which was fair market value in competition.
442? That sounds dirt cheap in retrospect. Yeah. What the hell, dude? In that like A+ area? In retrospect, that sounds so cheap.
The fine thing is someone paid 455-ish or something, and they had conditions of inspection and finance condition. I think by that point, we were almost there where we could see a property and be like, okay, there are not major issues. We should be fine. So we didn't put no conditions.
Yeah. So you guys were also buying right in the middle of COVID, right? Where like everyone was scared to buy houses. Yeah. Also, we grabbed 434 PR at the same time for like ridiculous prices on the market.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you guys come in with no conditions right in the middle of COVID, that requires balls on your end, right? Like you guys knew what you guys were doing, right? So there's a little bit more there, but everyone else is coming in with conditions. Like it kind of makes sense exactly why they did that, right?
Absolutely. And we were like the main competition was 3 offers. One was us. The other one was roughly 450-ish with 2 conditions. And this third guy, oh my God, this third guy is maybe putting 430-ish. And he's like, I'll put 35% as deposit.
Deposit. That's 120 G's.
Like this guy is pure cash play.
Yeah, he's like 420 or 430. I'll give you deposit right away.
But I'm happy that he didn't put a good value. I'm like blessed.
Just to add to one more thing over here, there was a video on Matt's channel which said like when you're trying to apply for a job, you write a cover letter. When you're trying to get your dream house, wouldn't you want to write like something? So, like there is no reason to not write. We had a cover letter with a mom and us in a picture to the festival when she and like the sympathy stuff. And like we embraced the fact that the Indian people who were staying here before, we like the ideals and the silent, like the nice touches they are given, so they could resonate with us. So it was not just about money; it was more than money. So all these small nitty-gritty details played in our hand, and they were like, go for it.
Next day, we get a call from our agent saying that, hey, I think you guys locked up the deal, and I'm pretty sure that your cover letter did the deal.
Nice. Because I've never done a cover letter before, to be honest with you. But maybe because I've always felt like we're buying in a hot market, so I was like, fuck it, like I'm putting too many offers in at one time. But that's amazing, man.
Deposit trick. I get why that guy went in at 430 with a 20% deposit. I tried that all the time. I'm like, 80K deposit? You guys want like 150? It doesn't matter. Either way, we're paying it. Like I'll give you the entire thing.
That's between COVID, eh?
Right in COVID. Yeah. So that's actually really surprising that they went with your offer over that guy's, but it's good. It must be the cover letter, right? So.
Awesome. Okay, so you bought that in May during COVID. Obviously, prices were depressed, and obviously prices have risen since then. I know you guys were doing a refi in this particular property, right? And you went 5% on it. So to go 5% and being able to refi must mean there's incredible appreciation. Right. What did that appraisal come in at, and what type of work did you do on this property?
So pretty much like everything was cosmetic. the basement unit, we had a little bit of confidence after building the den into a room in his house. So we are like, okay, let's do it this ourselves. And we did waste 5 months of our time just slowly doing it at our own pace, but we were strapped for money, so we didn't mind that much. So totally, we spent maybe $7,000 to $10,000 downstairs, which is a 450 square feet basement unit.
That's good.
And we converted that into an Airbnb, so that brings in $2,000 a month. So
wow, out of a how many square feet unit? Less than 500?
450 square feet basement unit.
Nice.
Like, yeah, it's tiny, but it brings in $2,000. I'm like, wonderful. This is better than Toronto. And then upstairs, we were about to go into a refi because I bought this at 5% and I was not experienced enough to know that I shouldn't have bought it in a fixed 5-year term. But I did that. He didn't do it. I did that. So I was like, okay, let's see what options they have. And I was like, okay, let me go for a HELOC if you could provide me that. And the guy just showed up on my door and I'm like, hey, I think I have booked and modified appraisal. So please take pictures from outside, but I'm busy for the weekend, so I'll send you the pictures from inside later. And on the weekend, I just call my friend's contact, which is like a contractor. He comes in. The upper unit is still looking like 1950s with carpet, wallpaper, pink bathtub, pink countertop, and everything.
That's funny, yeah.
So in 3 days, these contractors come in, rip apart all the painting, paint the whole house like nice gray floors, nice like new vinyl flooring, baseboards, windows, doors, and trims. So these guys turned the unit apart in 3 days. So now my lower unit is looking amazing. Now my upper unit is also looking amazing. I didn't have time to do the kitchen and the washroom, but in 3 days, that's amazing. And then next day, I just take a bunch of pictures and just send it to them. And the property got appraised for $740,000.
Holy
That's 300K lift.
300K lift. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I personally didn't even spend 30,000.
Yeah,
like I didn't even spend 20, I would say, because like $7,000 for basement, I think $8,000 or $9,000 for upstairs and a couple grand for pot lights. That's it.
That's incredible. Okay.
That's quite the lift.
Yeah.
That is quite the lift. Yeah.
But I would like to add one thing, and that is when I went to the bank, my lines of credit were little like I was using my lines of credit. So I would advise to clear your lines of credit before you go for a HELOC, because now they're like, hey, I can give you 80% loan to value, but your GDS, TDS is not in check. So I'm only going to give you 75% loan to value. And with that, you have to close your NBC line of credit. So I'm like,
yeah, which was at 3%.
Which was at 3%. But I'm like, they give me 125,000 line of credit. So it's all right.
Oh, so they told you to totally close down an account.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Account.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they'll pay it off and close it. So you got to be a little careful when you go and with the banks. Just make sure your things are clear. I would just like to advise.
It sucks because really you guys could have done it. Sean could have paid off your line of credit using his.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you sometimes you can push back and ask them to just pay it off instead of.
But you know what's like it's cool because that line of credit served its purpose for you to make hundreds of thousands in equity, right? Okay, so let's move forward. I know that shortly after you got your first JV partner, right? And right now you're working on a 5-plex. Let's quickly go over that JV partner deal as well. And then I know Mayu and I have some details on that 5-plex, and we have a ton of questions because it's a really interesting deal.
I'll do a quick one on the JV. We got this property from a landlord of mine 7 years before. And then I'm just going back after 7 years. I used to stay in a basement unit without windows with 6 Chinese people staying upstairs with the exhaust going directly to the kitchen. So I know whatever they're cooking, like every 7 years, fast forward, no windows, basement, small room. I go and I'm like a Bollywood movie. I want to buy this house. So I go over there, I talk to this guy. He loves me because I've helped him with tenant issues and all this because he was a Chinese landlord. The language was a barrier, but he knew I was good at heart. So I used to go and help him. So he's like, all right, I can sell you this property. So I was trying to buy his student rental, but it didn't work out. So we gave it to a friend of ours. But at the same time, we asked him, like, is there anything else you want to sell? Like, he sells one property every year. So he's like, I might be selling one property next year. You want to see? Like, we checked that out. And after checking the property out, it was like making like good sense. But as we were doing the negotiation, the numbers increased. So I ended up getting a wholesale from Boston. And then gradually from there, like, we bought the property. It was closing 1 year later. That's January of 2021. So we are talking in January of 2020, like February 2020, about buying a property 1 year later. So we just locked it up. And then COVID happened. We are like, okay, the price is going to go down or what's going to happen? So we bought it for 330K, right?
Yeah. So you have to understand that this was Feb 2020 and then April he closed, May I closed. So we are like so tense when COVID hit and we are like, what's going to happen? Should we just leave the 10 grand deposit and just walk away? But everything just worked out and we realized we're going to just push through it. So our JV partner was trying to actually like this duplex, which Austin Wholesale does. This little duplex is a beautiful duplex, like 1,100 square feet on both stories, 2 bedrooms. And it just needed some cosmetic love. And the structure of the building and everything was just perfect. So
we bought it for 330.
Yeah.
Right. It appraised for, after a renovation of 2 months, it appraised for $485,000. 330 to $485,000. We added $30,000 in cash in that like renovation, like 25 plus. So we are in $360,000. The purchase price plus the renovation, 360, right? And now it's appraised for 485. But my JV partner's TDS was not that good. He's a very good friend of mine. So if you're like my homeboy, I take good care of you, right? So he got 75% loan to value. At 75% loan to value, he gets at a loan like $363,000. Still, we made a couple of grand.
Nice.
It was good. Like now, I tell him like we got to sell that car of yours so that we can get that $25,000, and then we split the shares. You get a new car, right? So educating him along the way, he's been amazing. So we got all our money. JV partner's happy. He's looking to get new properties. So that's a venture which we did.
Yeah, that was January 2021.
Yeah.
That JV partner must be very happy then in that case. Everything you've been doing
until we were celebrating that.
I'll tell you, the funny thing is we closed on the property. He comes on the weekend to have some chicken tandoori and some big drinks. And he's like, so tell me, what is the thing that you're telling? We'll put so much renos and we'll get money. How does it all work? And I, on this kitchen counter table, I just explained to him, okay, this is what you put in. This is what we're going to add a little more. And then in 3 months, everything's going to be done and we're going to pull up. And my estimation was 450, but it turned out 485 because the market is nuts.
Yeah.
So when I was explaining him after the purchase, he's like, oh my God, this is what we are doing. This is just amazing. He didn't even know how to close the property.
Yeah. Speaks to the value of trust though, right?
Exactly.
Like he really just trusted you guys, saw what you guys did on your own properties. And then he went, I want a piece of this, right? So let's fly ahead. So that duplex is done. That's great. And so now today, what are you guys doing today? You guys have done a lot, right? So it took us a while to go through everything, but what are you guys doing today? Let's talk a little bit about that. Then we'll touch into like what you guys are going to be doing moving forward as well, right? So
wonderful. So I would like to say that along all these things, we also bought a student rental and we bought it on private lending. And that was an issue that actually my JV partner was buying. So things got up in the air without any conditions. And then we helped him and we got it on private lending. We sold that, made a couple of G's, like 10 G's or something more than that. And we sold it in 6 months from September to January. But then we realized, okay, the name of the game is finding the deal. How do you find the deal? That's when we started our wholesaling business. Like we were like, all right, I'm going to go all guns blazing in wholesaling, trying to source my own deals, which doesn't work my portfolio. I'm going to give it to someone else because it might be a good fit for someone else, not for me. So we started our wholesaling business Jan, Feb sometime. Yeah. And our first wholesale deal, which we were planning to wholesale, was the 5-plex in Cambridge.
We weren't really sure if it was a legal or an illegal 5. And by the time we had signed up a contract, we thought the market value would be 950. But slowly we realized that it's a legal 5-plex and it could be wholesaled for 950. So it's pretty good deal. But then,
sorry, what did you sign it at again?
We signed it at 810 because we were like, okay, there needs to be enough margin. And we had an idea that the tenants would be trouble. So we are like, okay, we got to account for all of this. And we put in an offer for 810.
Well, hold on. I feel like Sid isn't doing justice to the price here, right? So to buy a 5-plex at 810, just so anyone understands, like Hamilton is way above, and Cambridge. This is in Kitchener. This is in Kitchener, Cambridge, right? Yeah, but just for comparable purposes, Hamilton is way above 200, 250 per unit, right? Something almost close to 300 per unit. This is in KWC, which is, I might mess up my geography here, but it's closer, right?
Plus.
Yeah. So KWC is easily 200 plus, right? Easily 250. And to get a 5-plex at 800 puts you guys at what, roughly 170 maybe a unit, right? So that's a really good freaking price, right? So Yeah.
That too, it's all brick, half an acre lot in the city, half an acre lot. It's the land.
That's unreal.
Right. We actually spoke to the city and they told us based on the density and the size, we can totally have 13 units on that lot. So in the future, we can just extend the building or add another structure and just make it 13 unit.
Yeah. So you guys got this under contract at 810 or 820, whatever you said. 810? Yeah. And then you figured market value was what, like 1.1, 1.2?
Easy. Yeah. So we knew that this could be wholesale for 950.
Yes.
And the scope and the level of uplift someone can buy this and do, this was like a proper investor deal because you can see through this, even if you buy this at 950 a million, you know that you can jump the price to 1.4 by spending only 150 or something.
There was a fourplex which sold for 1.15 mil next to ours.
I think I've seen that one as well.
Right?
Yeah. Fully turnkey one.
Like we were like, it would be dumb of us, like if you would just wholesale it and make like 100 and 150, whatever.
And the funny thing with that fourplex was that was sold on the basis that it has a big enough lot to put another fourplex on that. And his lot was smaller than our lot. So it's like, this is the home run deal. Get this signed.
So this was too lucrative for us to give it away. And then we started thinking like, okay, we got to look up like private lending. We have already experience of private lending and we know how much it would cost and what our strengths are. And then we are like, all right, instead of making a quick $150 or $100,000 on our first wholesale, we locked this deal up. And then we went through the city to understand what the open work permit orders are with this particular house. We never like, hey, we got 800,000, 150 G's profit. So like, all right, happy and this. No, we did our due diligence. We do all the steps. We went to the city, found out open work permit order. We dig the archives, found out whether it's like what its legal status is. Yeah. During doing all this due diligence, I found out there was like some issues with the tenants and this and that. This needs to be fixed. So I dropped the price 10 days before closing. I went and firmed up to the deal. And I dropped the price from $810,000 to $800,000. Now, I don't know if I'm stingy, but that was logical enough for the effort and work I'm putting in. So I'm like, now I have a gap of like $150,000, $160,000 for what it could have been wholesale for.
So let's pause right here. Yeah. How did that negotiation? There's a lot to unpack, right? So
before the negotiation, and this is because like myself and Austin know a little bit about this property, so I found it like really fascinating. You guys had this locked up conditional all the way until 10 days before closing. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. So for anyone that says conditional deals don't work.
It wasn't even 10 days before the closing. It was 44 business days. So from the time we signed it, it was conditional until the day of closing. And that we realized later.
Okay.
This is conditional until the day of closing.
Why can't you do? There shouldn't be any threat, It's conditional until the day. Wait, sorry. And this deal was gotten through a letter campaign. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
so, interesting thing over here was if there's a problem, you find the solution, but there's cost of doing business. Now they have a problem of a problem tenant who were like so troublesome, he couldn't even get me the pictures of the unit. So I'm understanding I can help you out of this and you can buy a big, nice, fancy cottage next to the water. But what price are you willing to give me for? So I'm understanding his why. What's his numbers? How much does he need for the cottage place? Yeah. How much he can buy it outright and live happily by the lake and whatever. So I'm understanding his why. After that, I'm understanding what he's actually, how many holes are there in his pocket, really, for real, like from the city. I'm doing all this homework to find out what the process is. And then by the end, I understand like, okay, this is what he needs. He'll be happy if I give him this. Don't think about how good the deal is for me, but think about what he's getting. Try to fit in their shoes. Because the tenant, which is his problem, he would make my life horrible as well, right?
So his tenant was practically suing him. Yeah. And he was under a lot of stress. And he was like a simple guy.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you guys this, right? Because, you hear it everywhere. It sounds great in theory to like put yourself in the seller's shoes, like understand like why they want to sell it, like whatever, and all that stuff. But how did you guys actually go about asking him those questions? And how did you get him to open up to you? Like, how did that conversation work? Because I think if you just went, hey, seller, like, why do you want to sell this property? What are you going to do with the money? Some people are just going to be like, fuck off. Like, why do you care?
Yeah. And lastly, who determined the price? Was that you or the seller? How did that arrive?
So we had a first meeting. This was like one of our first wholesale calls we got, and we're like, okay, let's just go and see on Saturday. And then we walk through the property. The wife walks us through the property, and then we are back, and the husband also comes through, and we're just like, Ishan is talking to the husband, making sure the data he's giving is right. And then I'm talking to the wife, and we're just talking about Euro trips, Santorini, Greece, and all that. So it's more like a friendly vibe where I'm just meeting my uncle and aunt kind of thing, and just find out that they love Indian food. So next time when we're coming over, we just bought them some good Indian stuff that they're happy about it. And they tell us that they are looking for roughly $900,000.
Okay.
And then when we went back and did our analysis, it's like 900 doesn't make sense. Maybe we might be able to make $20,000-$30,000, but still doesn't make sense for
all that headache and work.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I want to pitch in here and say one thing. Whenever you're talking to the seller, you got to listen. Please listen to what they're going to say. There's a set of questions. You just drop it and let them talk. There'll be one or two hook points where they'll be like, yeah, I want to tell you about this, telling there's this, or I want to buy this. They will get hooked to one of those questions, and you just got to listen. Then you get the idea of which important topic you got to hit on later. That's the advice I would like to give.
Yeah.
Just listen. And then when you're doing the negotiation later, okay, you have a problem tenant. Okay, you said that they were like some biker gang or something. I don't even know if that's a thing or whatever. So now I'm thinking, okay, you told me about this. Like, I didn't cook this up, right? So I'm getting more information from you, from what I listened. And we have the strength over here that one guy is able to, communicate as to like comfortably, and the other guy is doing the due diligence. So this is like a team power. Like, we emphasized on this, and then
So we put an offer for 810. We got no response for 3 days. The offer expired, and on Saturday I called her, and she's like, yeah, we're going to look at properties tomorrow. Yeah, we'll call you on Monday. I'm like, okay, at least she picked up the call, so that's a positive sign. And then Monday they call us up and they're like, okay, we're ready to sign the offer.
So we locked it up
for 810.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Anyone will be anti during those 3 days. Is there anything that you wish you would have done different during that negotiation process? Because I'm nope, perfect. Like, you were happy with the way things went?
Yeah. So it's about like, when an empty mind is a devil's workshop. When you're trying to think too many things, but that's not what's happening actually. There's something else going on the other side. You need to give people time. You need to listen to people. People don't do these small, simple, basic things.
And you have to understand some natural communication cues where she replied to me. That means, okay, she's still interested, right? So I don't want to push her. Just hold on until he checks out the other properties, right?
So I totally agree with that. One aspect I would just layer on top, just for like wholesalers or people out there, is that it's a very competitive market, right? So time is it's great that you give people time, but time is also the enemy that kills all deals. Absolutely. The more time you give someone, the more likely they're not going to go with it, because there might be other wholesalers who jump on. There might be other investors who come in, right? And then obviously that it just leaves more openings to people to enter and steal the deal away.
Absolutely. But the funny thing here was, we knew who our competition was. Our competition was not the fact that she's going to go on the market with the realtor. And we kind of had an idea that not a lot of wholesalers have approached her. And our only competition was she refinancing the property, them refinancing the property, pulling the equity and buying another property.
And you guys had a lot of rapport with her, which is important too.
Yes. But your point is wonderful. Like, it's actually right. Like, speed is of the essence. Absolutely. Knowing your competition on point. But there was none over here. So we were like, just playing the waiting game and give.
I think we have lost a couple deals on speed. So I truly agree with you.
Cool. So you guys decided you're going to keep this fiveplex, right? And we've already talked about like the first deal was all of your capital, really. Your second deal was all of your capital again. Third deal was with the JV partner. I know you guys sold the Windsor property, right? Is that how you funded this fiveplex, or what did you guys do to like? How does someone with no capital? Okay. And we know the answer, but
let me slowly retrace this. First property, all money gone. Second property, literally all money gone. Third property was a student rental, which we didn't want to buy, but our JV partner got stuck into it and he couldn't close. So I'm like, okay, I have so much equity in this Cambridge house. Maybe I can just leverage my portfolio to buy that. And we bought that on private lending. So another minus $60,000 deposit down payment from my account. So we are like deep in debt. And then we're like, okay, we've gotten comfortable with it, and then we do this BRRRR with our JV partner. Now we just find out that the fiveplex is a stellar deal, so we have to close on it. We thought of JVing with people, but then we're like, we didn't really want to get into JVing because it's Cambridge, it's just 10 minutes drive, and
we were exposed to private lending as well, right?
Yeah, so we're like, okay, let's see if we can find private lender for this, and we found out that Kyle Ford is a private lender from KWC. So we hopped on a call with this guy. And he just sold his 10 units for $4 million. So $400K a unit. And he was more than stoked to find out it's a legal fine. He's like, oh, this is a fucking stellar deal. So we wanted a person who understands, who judges the deal more than the person. Because we have grown so quickly, like we don't have a lot of credibility to show you, but we do everything right. And we're coaching under Corey. So it's wonderful. So we speak to this guy and we explicitly told him that the only thing we're looking for is 0% down on this property. And he straight up tells us that if you can get me $950K of appraisal, I can get you 0% down because there is so much equity on the buy. And then we get an appraisal and it comes out at 960. So we are pretty good. So we get to close this property. We are pulling a little more lines of credits to
closing fees,
lender fees. But rest to highlight to a point that we didn't sell our house in Windsor yet. There was a property which we were with private lending in Windsor, which we were paying heavy cash. We didn't sell that also. So we were in negative, like a debt of $100,000 on a line of credit. And still we pounced on it because the numbers made sense, because someone is giving this at 0% down. The initial investment, we can still pull it out and we can sell our properties quickly, which won't be on time, which is okay, but the cash would come. So it's all about the numbers, which is making sense. And we're like, all right, let's hop on
the property has so much equity on the buy that even if anything goes wrong, everyone still makes money, right?
So let's go through this scenario now, right? And I'm sure that we all agree on this, but like in some situations, you can deter from this particular rule. When you buy a property, you want to make sure it's not cash flow negative, including on the buy. This particular property, more than likely, I assume, is cash flow negative on the buy, right? Because it's under rented.
But they're also using private money. Like, what if you didn't use private money? Would it be cash flow negative or no?
It doesn't matter to me.
It will still be cash flow negative.
Yeah, it's under rented, right? Like pretty significantly.
Like a lady is paying $600 for a unit. You get
and you're buying it close to $1 million. Yeah, at 800,000.
Two units like that. So
yeah. Okay. So why did you develop? Like, why was this particular property like? Okay, I'm willing to diverge from this rule, knowing that Ontario, all of the rules are in favor of the tenants more so than the landlords. That is scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, but we knew the proper people, like the connections we need to hire. So we hired this guy called Adam Kitchener, who is an expert in cash flow keys or tenant troubles or anything related to tenants, and he charges whatever fees he charges per unit. But I am assured that he will do the job. And the margin, like ARV of this property, I think conservatively is 1.25, but I'm pretty sure it will be appraised for 1.4 with the finishes that we put. So the margin is so much that even if I spend 10, 20, 30, like every problem has a dollar value. The question is, are you fine with the dollar value? So that is the only problem.
Just to highlight over here, what Sid is saying over here, for 30 Gs of cash for keys, well, how does the property value increase based on the current market rents? It increases by $150,000. Mm-hmm. The question is, are you willing to put $30,000 for getting $150,000? Second question, if you can't do it yourself, are you willing to hire somebody to get that confidence and understanding of how it's done? Okay, I could have done myself for 20 Gs, but I hired someone and I did it for 30 Gs. Okay, but having the vision from top, instead of looking at the turn next corner, you are getting 150 Gs of spread. Like, come on, like, why wouldn't you do it? Mm-hmm. Like now, the only question is, who can do it the right way? Like, there's no chance of fuck-ups because sorry, excuse my language, but it's private lending over here. Like $800,000 at 10% down. You can't mess this up.
Yeah. So we spent 30 grand on cash for keys, less than 30 grand. And like everyone signed the N9s.
Okay, so pause here. Again, that's an important conversation that we can quickly kind of talk about. Cash for keys conversation with 5 tenants. All of them signed it. 4 tenants, sorry. How were you able to do that?
So initial cash for keys conversation was the guy goes in, he's the messenger. He's not the guy who's the owner. So no one kills the messenger. That's the same, right? So he goes in and he just tells them whatever the due diligence is, and then he comes back. The next day, I'm going, on next day or on a weekend, like after 5 days, I just go in. And now I'm using empathy as our scenario or whatever. And I'm trying to make them understand, listen, I'm not one of those slumlords which you had earlier, or I'm not just going to kick you out. Let me make a win-win strategy for everyone so that it doesn't hit my conscience. And in future, whatever I'm doing, I get your good blessings. I don't need to, but I do have to. That's how I've been brought up. And then I was like, all right, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Instead of reaching money, what do you actually need? I understood their why again. Now just listening and making sure they feel like this guy's here to listen, right? Again, it's listening. And then they were saying like, I need this, I need this. Then I was questioning them. Do you need this or do you want this? There's two difference between the two words. Like now I'm understanding and making them understand. Okay, you need this. You don't want this. You need this. You need this much, and then it'll work out. You need this, it'll work out. You need something else, moving cost for this, for that, it'll work out. So things like that helped me in the negotiation. And when I went for the second time, it was me running the show. And they saw a genuine person inside me who's trying to help. At the same time, he is stuck in a place between rock and a hard place where he's doing private lending and blah, blah, blah. So they come to a common ground and we could work things out. So yeah, that's how it pretty much worked out.
Yeah, and I think it's as simple as that, but it's more difficult to execute, right? And a lot of people don't realize that these conversations, the reason why people don't do well at them is because they're very fucking difficult conversations to have. You're literally going to someone who's lived in a place for 10 years and you're telling them, look, I need to help you to transition. What can I do to help you do that, right? It's not an easy conversation and most people end up breaking under pressure, but that's phenomenal, dude. It's as simple as having those convos, and I'm sure you did get backlash. In my Cash for Keys convo, sometimes I get backlash, but you just got to take a couple steps back, reset, and that, like, you know, like if you ever want, you know what's pretty cool? Like I'm watching YouTube, like when investigators negotiate murderers and stuff like that. It's crazy, like, and it's a psychological game, right? It's like, okay, like when they start pushing back, it's like, okay, feel empathy, do that, and then you gotta like push harder. Like it's like all a psychological thing, right? Yes. And that's like the Cash for Keys combos as well.
Yes. And very, very good point. This guy, Chris, was the FBI top negotiator for US when talking with terrorists. Mirroring is a very good technique. You go, you talk, you mimic to the guy. All these subtle things, like what you're asking, you're instilling a seed in their brain as to what they're supposed to ask you. This technique I've used in interviews as well. So I'm actually framing a question in their mind even before they know what they're going to ask, because I'm saying something with such a tonality compared to saying such a tonality. Like, you see the difference, the wording and all this. This is all practice, man. And I really appreciate you emphasizing on that point. Like, yeah, if you understand that and it comes with practice, then it's easy. But you got to try it. You got to try it. Then it all makes sense.
So we wanted to make sure that the tenants go out. So we hired someone. But then second conversation, we did a smart thing where we asked the guy to have a recorder in his phone, like a phone, and then just listen to everything that he had spoken to.
Yeah.
So we get a glimpse of how it's done. And now the second conversation is Ishan goes in, takes the lead, and he's getting feedback from this guy as to, should I change something? So now Ishan's learning how to do Cash for Keys confidently, right?
So if you guys need someone to do Cash for Keys,
new business, eh?
Nice. Okay, awesome, guys. And so you've done the hardest part right now, which is turning around the units, right? Now, although that's the hardest part, that's not the most costly part, right? Yeah. The most costly part in multifamilies is renovating each unit. So I know that you guys are limited on capital. Yes, you do have your lines of credit, but you're fully leveraged through private lending. How are you going to fund the renos going forward for this project?
So pretty much the expensive piece, which was cash for keys, 30,000, that's done. Now we are looking for almost $150,000 of reno money that we need. Even though we sold 2 of our properties and we have the money in our account, we personally don't want to use that money because it can be used as source of funds for our next acquisition.
Yeah.
Because right now having source of funds is the biggest pain. So we're going to hold on to that money so that we can leverage that as source of funds. And we're going to try and get some private money, $150,000 for the reno for maybe span of 3 to 6 months and do the renos. So we got the property for 800. It appraised for 960 as is. We have spent $30,000 in cash for keys. So we are all in for 830. And now the property's value is 1.1 to 1.15 with the tenants left, like once they leave. So that's then. And then we are planning to do $150,000 of reno. So 800 plus 8 plus 30 plus 150, that's 960 or whatever. So that is, we are all in and we are looking for an appraisal of anywhere from 1.25 to 1.4 mil. And that's doable. So as long
That's
as
a lift,
that's a lift. And as long as it hits 1.4, we are like almost $0.
So just to emphasize over here, one of the points Mayu highlighted earlier, does it cash flow based on where the property is and if it was conventional lending? So our goal is to go with Airbnb model because the 1-bed unit, which we are making so much money, we have a proof of concept where we are getting $2,000 for $450 square feet basement apartment. Now my mind is thinking if it's like a 1-bed apartment, if I can get $2,000 and the demographics of that area supports Airbnb. Because in Cambridge, we don't have as many marriage venues. And we
have a lot of marriage venues.
Oh, sorry.
And then in marriage season, all of the marriage venues are like booked. Like they'll have like 7, 8 marriages.
Yeah, very smart.
And then all the hotels are booked.
Yes. I went to, I think it was either Kitchener or Cambridge or something for a wedding. I had to pay like $200 for a hotel for one night.
And the funny thing is, this is on the west side, West Galt area, which is like the direction where you go for all the marriage venues. So this is like a proper spot.
And to emphasize, like now I'm thinking like if I do Airbnb model over there for the 1-bed units, I make $2,000 easy out of the 1-bed, like $6,000 easy. Then I have like 2-3 bedroom units, which are going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
One
if
of
I
the
even
3
give to family
is like,
yeah, I'm going to make like good money. So my point is like, I cannot like try to be stingy in renovations. I can do it myself, but what if I do it properly? Now, what is properly? Like, I just need $150,000. For any one of you listening right now, if you want to make quick money within the next 6 months, we are looking for a proposition to give you second lien on our property or how you want to structure it. And your money is already out. Like, if you fail to get it, like, it's even better for you guys. So, yeah.
It's so true. Before we wrap up, I just want to outline one thing. I always tell people it's the best time to raise private money is when you don't need it. And you guys are a pretty good case study of that, right? Like you literally got the funds in the bank account, but levering up is essentially the role of investors as well, right? Like, so providing other people with a good, solid rate of return is great there. And your property's honestly at a pretty low loan to value, right? Like even if you say the value is 1.1 million at about 800K mortgage, I don't even know what that is. That's like a 30% or 70% loan to value. So that's pretty solid.
Yeah, most of the risk is off the table now, like the tenant risk, right? That's off the table, which is huge.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, guys. So let's move into the kind of the last few questions that we'd like to ask our guests, right? So the first question for you guys, given how much you've done in the last year and a half, right? Which, by the way, this is a great episode as a case study for anyone that wants to know how to get started in real estate with little to no money down. But where are we going to see you guys 5 years from now?
5 years from now. The best answer we came up with will be off the grid. We will have systems already optimizing everything, and we won't be over here. I just want to sip on some good stuff in Bali, somewhere like just relax, do geo arbitrage. Because during COVID, I realized like when I was with my girlfriend in Amsterdam and I was just working from there, Amsterdam is expensive, but still like if I could do geo arbitrage, like life is golden. You don't need as much money as much as you think you would. So
Yeah.
my idea. What's yours?
Yeah, I think like have a few businesses which have proper systems in place and it's running by itself, and that you don't actually have to work, because we as investors want the financial freedom, but when we actually get it, we are like, I wish I had that Lambo. Now I don't want the Lambo. Maybe I want it, but I would rather be off the grid. Spend 6 months, 1 year, freedom to do whatever you feel like, even though you don't do it.
Sid wants to travel. Whenever he comes back from a different country, he's like, I want to quit everything and just stay on. That's what he said every time. He wants
that's motivation, man. That you're actually living your dream lifestyle. Then you're back to reality, right? Because like that's not reality, to be honest with you, right? And you're like, fuck, now I need to make that a dream come true.
Because the funny thing is, I saw people who were working from home, like digital nomads, and living that life, but that was still a shitty life because you are besides the pool, but you can't even look at anything other than your screen. It's like, fuck, it's good for an Instagram picture, but it's actually worse, I guess. So yeah, that's probably our 5 to 10 years. We'll have as many properties, scale in real estate like crazy, and then have a few businesses where we get enough money to just quit everything and go off the grid.
Nice. Okay, and second question here is, if you guys won $10 million, you had 7 days to spend it, cannot all be on real estate, how would you spend it?
I want to go first. Like growing up, I didn't have much money for my education. Now I'm working for one of the top companies in software industry, and I owe it to the person who gave me money for my education. So while studying, I found this one guy whose parents were mentally challenged. He used to study 9 to 5. He used to sit in the library afterwards and study because he didn't afford books. And then he used to go and work at some grocery store to make money. It brings tears to my heart. This guy was such a gold gem. So I want to create earnestly like scholarship for people who really need it, because I have seen that, I have been there, so I can connect with that. I can do 100 better things maybe, but I connect more because I didn't have anything. I was not able to like get things, but now I'm here. So I want to give it to those folks over there who really like, gunning hard and trying it. So I want to give scholarships to people. And at the same time, I want to implement, like get half of the money and like just like put it on my business and just enjoy whatever. That's my goal. Yeah.
I think I would wanna help people who are just getting started with their life, because like if you had seen me in India, you wouldn't believe that I could even get here by any chance. Like I was the worst of the worst in the whole college. In the whole college, not even my class, my department. So it's like some things can change your life. The question is, would you have the opportunity to be at the right place at the right time, which flips the switch in your mind? So I would want to have like a program where before people start working their main jobs, odd jobs, they get an opportunity to understand investing, financial literacy. Because in India, especially, it is so taboo that if I have $10 in my pocket, I won't even tell you I have money. It's just stupid. So suddenly it's like you will never talk about money. And when you don't talk about money, how can you multiply money unless you're in the right circle? So having those maybe pop-up classes or seminars or whatever back in India or Canada, whatever helps, just so that people get the financial literacy and understand that you cannot work all your life just to make some money, where you can just invest and do it wisely and do it right, and you can have a better life. Because many people don't even know that's an option, right? That is one thing I would definitely do. And invest, buy few more like our direction going forward is larger multifamilies. So we'll just buy a few more larger multifamilies and just again go off the grid.
Few, a lot more.
A lot more.
Awesome, guys. All right, last question, because we do have to wrap up. If you were to have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would you choose and why?
I would like to meet Elon Musk. Like, I just want to meet that guy. He's just doing it for the heck of doing it. I don't know why he's doing it, whatever. Like, I just want to meet that guy. Just like feel his vibe.
He's like a larger than life figure.
Yeah. He's just like, he's God sent. He's fucking God, like in real terms. Like, I don't know, man. That guy's like, he could have had everything. He's like taking all the money. He's going bankrupt and trying to build SpaceX. Bro, who does that? Come on, who does that? Take some relax, sip margaritas, chillax. No, he wants to do something good. I want to meet this guy, man. This energy, it's all about vibrations and energies. Like you want to meet these people and just like get the vibe. Like you can do a little better in someone's life. And that's the best thing you can do by far. Like not just make money, make a difference in someone's life. So that's the reason I want to meet Elon.
I would want to meet my grandparents because I felt like I could have spent more time with them. And it's always when they're gone, you realize, like whenever someone's gone, you realize, hey, I should have spent more time. And like COVID has brought us that realization, like human connection, the relationships are so important. And we personally in North America, we're running for money like crazy on the weekdays. And just to cool it off, we are partying like animals on the weekend, and that's not life. So I would want to spend time with the people I've lost.
Very deep answer. And I'm sure you guys are going to have that time soon. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for jumping on. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been amazing to see you guys grow as investors, from people who really didn't know anything about real estate to now people who are acquiring properties, getting private money, wholesaling, investing in multifamily properties. You guys have done it all. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can do so?
You can reach out to us on Instagram. My Instagram handle is kidunot_SID Sid. And then his Instagram handle is Ishan.Khobare. That's ISHAN.KHOBARE. And then we have a business page which is called Khobare.Capital. That's KHOBARE.capital.
Awesome. So all of that's going to be in the show notes down below. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, do whatever you can to support the podcast. It helps bring great guests like Ishan and Sid on here. And make sure to do reach out to them. They have a very inspirational story. Check out their other podcasts that they've been featured in as well. And until next time, everyone, invest smarter and live better. Take care, all.